Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Open Task Podcast. I am Calvin Smith with my main man, Joe Carlos, and my main man, Christopher Lee. And we are going to make predictions again. We're going to recap our predictions from the past. It's been a busy week in the NFL. Busy time in the NFL, as it usually is around this time. Teams have to make decisions, start planning for the next season, particularly if they had a rough season, the previous one, and make some changes to their head coaching positions. And so that happened this week. In particular, at the around about maybe an hour and a half before sending out the bat signal for this particular episode, my beloved Atlanta Falcons and Joe's beloved Atlanta Falcons, he's the number one fan, as you can see, made the decision to rehire, as it were, our former interim head coach, Raheem Morris. Joe, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, and thank you. Always good to be with you, gentlemen. And this is a bittersweet time of year, knowing that we only have 3 games left.
Yeah.
And a flag football game. So that knowing that we only have those things left, skills competition. But no, I think Raheem's hire, I was a little surprised, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think that was the direction that we were going in. I didn't know that we were the only team that interviewed Belichick until today.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
And conventional wisdom, it would have been nice, obviously, to get Harbaugh, but he wanted to be on the West Coast, understandably.
Mm-hmm.
He and Justin Herbert is a very fine quarterback prospect. I don't think he's been a good quarterback yet.
I love you saying that.
He's a fine quarterback prospect,
yes.
But whatever he is, he's better than what we have in the entire quarterback room in Atlanta today, even coming off injury.
Sure.
I think he's better than what we have in the entire quarterback room. So I do understand Harbaugh going there. Life's good. It's beautiful out there.
Mm-hmm.
Brand new stadium, mm-hmm. and you got this quarterback. They got some cap room things mm-hmm. that I've learned about. They've got some aging stars. It's probably time, but I thought that was probably a better fit for him.
Yeah.
And I didn't see Raheem. I didn't see us going with the defensive coach route, but he was an offensive coordinator as well. So
yeah,
it's interesting. He's a hybrid in that regard, but more of a successful one than like Patricia. Yeah. I know Patricia won those Super Bowl. I know he won those Super Bowls with Peyton. I mean, with Tom Brady though.
Yeah.
Whereas Raheem did it, with Matt Stafford. Right. Mm-hmm. So having said that, though, but it was a defensive side of the ball, whatever. But I know he's learned both sides of the ball. I like the hire. I think it's a long-term hire. It's not a Band-Aid. I think Bill would have been a short-term solution for a long-term issue. Mm-hmm. And everybody knows Bill's trying to get at least the 15 wins. We get that. So he's probably baked in a two season team.
Yeah.
And we didn't want to. We didn't want to do this again 2 years from now. And everything I'm reading says that Arthur, Mr. Blank, is trying to phase his role out of it, other than just showing up on Thursdays, Sundays, and Mondays.
Yeah.
And so that part of it. Is another big part too. And so I think they knew Raheem. I think it was a good choice. Because they knew him, there was a relationship there. This league we know is built on relationships, and so I'm very happy for him. I hope that Atlanta embraces him properly, and it's historic since he's the first black head coach full-time head coach hired by the Atlanta Falcons. So that's, I mean, to be saying the first black anything in 2024 is a lot, but still.
Hey, here we are.
I don't think there'll ever be a black Braves manager for a number of reasons, but at least there've been black Hawks coaches.
We came close with Ryan Washington, man. I think Ryan Washington would have, we could have, but you're right.
I know we could have.
Yes,
but we didn't. But got Snickers. So it is what it is.
Thank you.
It is what it is. So
Chris, you're on record as the biggest Patriots fan that I know. My favorite Patriots
Hey,
fan.
it goes back to 1993 since Patriots drafted Drew Brees out of not Drew Brees, Drew Bledsoe out of Washington State.
Yep. Yep.
You
That
know,
was
I still hate Green Bay because of Super Bowl 31 to this day.
yeah. So I imagine you probably have maybe a different slant on the whole Bill Belichick issue. What are your thoughts on him basically only having one interview or two interviews with the Falcons? One team.
One team.
He wants a lot of control. I don't think many owners want to give him that much control that he would like to have. From what I've read, Arthur Blank did not want to burn down the front office for one man. And for one man, he would only be there briefly.
Yeah.
Made sense. I never thought Coach Belichick would have been a good fit in Atlanta anyway. I really do believe he is waiting to see if Andy Reid's going to retire in Kansas City. The Clark family might give him the leeway that he wants. And, you know, Belichick, for the last 23-ish years,
the Hunts.
The Hunts, yeah, you said.
I'm sorry.
The Clarks. Clark Hunt.
Clark Hunt. Call him by his first name. Hunt family. Norman Clark.
Dallas. Gang, Dallas, bro. Dallas.
The original Dallas Texans.
Yes, that's right. That's right. Know your ledge.
They might give him that leeway. He's used to dealing directly with the owner. He's dealt directly with Mr. Kraft for last 23 years. So he doesn't want to deal with GM, with ex-president, executive vice president, president, whatever, of operations, football operations, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
The Hunt family might be the last ones to give him that kind of leeway.
Sure. So I think that makes a lot of sense. I'll say that I was surprised to read that even with this move of picking up Raheem Morris, they are reducing the role of Rich McKay in the front office. That was really surprising to me, considering his not only like the tenure he's had, but the relationship that he and Arthur Blank have. From all indications, they are more than just, he's more than just the CEO of operations, whatever. He's also a close friend of Arthur Blank's, from what I've been reading. So to see that they have reduced that role and are going to give Terry Fontenot and Raheem Morris, which, by the way, gives us a black general manager and a black coach, right? To give them the reins and let them do their thing, I think is a good sign. To Joe, to your point about Atlanta, it's funny. Atlanta being the progressive city that it is in all other aspects, the sports franchises were woefully behind in that regard. And the Falcons have that history of, you look at the retread coaches, the Marion Campbells, the Dan Hennings, the Lehman Bennett's, all these coaches, Jerry Glanville's, and the good old boy, leaving tickets for Elvis, that kind of thing. We have all that in our history, so it's kind of refreshing, and I think that we will see. I'm willing to be patient, a lot more patient than I would have been with Arthur Smith, just simply because I think he was kind of a stubborn kind of guy. Didn't really want to bend to the will of the fans, or like he seemed to kind of want to stick it to the fantasy football people, to the fans, and like, I mean, I get that you're not playing the game for fantasy football people, but at the same time, actively sticking it to the people, or at least giving the impression that you're doing that's a level of pettiness that's not professional, in my opinion. So I'm happy for a new start, and we'll see. I'm pretty excited to see what happens with us. So they're like, what? How many more? About 2 more jobs left in the NFL now. Seattle and
Washington.
And Washington. Okay.
And you'll maintain Kansas City will be open.
Yeah. And yes, I think the tea leaves tend to read that way. And like you said, Chris, I think that's actually, it's a ready-made situation. He gets to coach the greatest quarterback after the greatest quarterback, so he's going to
Phil Jackson, this motherfucker.
Right, exactly. That's the model right there. See, I'm in the right place with the right people right now. At any rate, so it'd be interesting to see what else happens. The other coaching hires the Brian Callahan here in Tennessee. The Tennesseans here seem to be as happy as they can be. I don't think anybody really wanted to see Mike Vrabel go here, but
I always thought Mike Vrabel took the Titans as far as he could.
Yeah.
Remember when they beat the Patriots? I believe it was a 2019 divisional round.
Uh-huh.
I had a lot of friends here. Here in Huntsville. It's that southern edge of the Titans TV market.
Right.
And they're like, "Oh, we're dynasty killers." I said, "You can't hang a banner for beating Patriots in the divisional round." But congratulations. But you can't hang a banner for that. And I think the follow-up season showed he got them to a winning mindset, but not to the credit to show here Roman numeral game mindset.
Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see in a second job what happens with him. The same thing. I mean, not to belabor the point about Belichick, but recall that the Patriots were his second. He had the Jets job, but we won't talk about that. The Patriots were his second real head coaching job after the Browns, and a lot of astute coaches learn from that first experience, and the same thing's probably likely to happen here with Raheem Morris. So anyway, we'll see what happens.
And that's the one thing about life. You when you can learn from your failures early on and realize, okay, what I assumed worked does not, and I can take the failures and look at them and learn from them and build on it. I hope Raheem has a great run in Atlanta. I hope they give him a great quarterback.
Set him up to succeed.
Yes.
Yeah. I think that's
I think he learned from. Well, he got a short stick in Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
And now that Atlanta has done right by him, in my opinion, I believe he was interim there before, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. He took over.
So now I feel like Atlanta is doing right by him. Set him up to succeed this time.
Yeah. I agree. Well, so last week. There were games played. All of them were the comment I made after each game. Hell of a game. Each of the games was interesting. The Baltimore game probably the least interesting of all the games, but it still did. It was entertaining while it was entertaining, and so we saw those outcomes. Baltimore over the Texans there, and the 49ers and the Packers played a slobber knocker, man. And as it usually does happen, came down to missing kicks and some questionable coaching decisions, and it could have gone either way, but went the way of the 49ers. And so you have that, and the Detroit and the Detroit game was not entertaining for a little while. Again, they kind of let the Bucks back in there, and we'll see what happens this week. But they made it through. They survived, and then finally that Kansas City Bills game. I mean, back and forth. Mahomes, man, what can you do with those guys? What can you do with Josh Allen? What's gonna happen there? But what did you guys, Joe? What were your thoughts on the games last week? I know you had a lot.
Well, I thought they were. I mean, go ahead. Just an overview of its overview. I thought they were very, very entertaining. That they were closer than probably I think people probably gave them credit for. I think it was interesting that the NFC South champion was fighting all the way through the fourth. So their coach had them really very, very well prepared for that game.
Yes, sir.
In a hostile environment.
Yes, sir.
And I thought that Todd Bowles, I really am proud of Todd Bowles and Baker Mayfield and the way the Bucks fought. I really was. I mean, you got Mike Evans, you got a Hall of Famer, and Baker's not going to quit. So they really showed a lot of heart in that game in a very tough environment to play. And so in a place that was very, highly emotional. I thought in the Baltimore game, I thought early on it could have gone either way in the first half, and emotionally, I thought the Texans were as high as they possibly could be. But I don't. They just didn't. They didn't have their play could never match their emotion. I think in that environment, I think that was the moral victory of the entire season. That score at the end of the first half, and the way that they really had Lamar and Fitz. But D'Amico's brilliant. They're not calling him a genius, unfortunately, but he's obviously a defensive genius. So he is brilliant, I think, in that regard. So he had a great scheme, and of course, Lamar, then they adjusted, and he figured it out. Stroud needs a line. Stroud does not have a line at all, and that's going to be a problem until they get him a line. With the Niners and the Packers, I think the Pack just ran out of steam. I think I think that they scratched on the 8 ball and ran out of steam. In all sincerity, because that was anyone's game with 2-3 minutes to go.
Absolutely.
Regardless of where it was and the weather and all that kind of, everybody played in the weather. So I really think that was more of a who's going to blink first. They played a game of chicken in that regard there. And then my feelings on the, a classic, man. But Mahomes, Pacheco showed up big for them. Chris Jones and the defense really showed up big at key moments. Josh played well, but Diggs dropping balls. I mean, guys dropping balls, man. I mean, he can't make him catch the ball. He can't make him catch the ball.
And so and it was catchable. You're right.
It was in his hands. I mean, that's my quick overviews of those games. You can't put it all on Bass. There's so many opportunities, in my opinion. But that's Bass's job. It's his job to execute. but whenever called upon. But there were a series of other factors that led to them losing that game.
Yeah, so, sure. I agree.
My opinion.
I agree. Chris, what was your favorite game of the weekend last week?
I'm torn between San Francisco and Green Bay and Kansas City, Buffalo. Of course, the closest games, but Baltimore did what Baltimore does.
Yeah.
And although Detroit and Green Bay, it's typically going either way. I mean, Detroit and
Tampa,
Tampa, thank you. The Bays were there. I'm mixing up my Bays right now.
Old fashioned.
But I think we had a great slate of games. It was almost like, as I call it, Saturday ball. Like, the playoff picture sorted itself out correctly. Luckily, this was sorted out correctly on the field and metrics and formula and whatnot.
I agree. I think all the best 8 teams played on last weekend. I couldn't agree more. That's a great point. A great point.
As a quick aside, if I could say, I think one of the best things the NFL did was to stop giving 4 collective teams buys and just give the number 1 seed a buy.
Yeah, that has turned out to be a masterstroke. I agree. It's made for entertaining games all the way throughout, and it's made for better quality in terms of the matchups the next round. Yeah.
I generally hate expanding playoffs, but here I think, no, you don't get to rest for being second best in either conference. Like, no, you're going to go out there and play too. And so I think it gave us a great weekend of games. If I had to just pick one, the Kansas City Buffalo, that was I mean, it's almost splitting hairs, not quite, but Kansas City Buffalo.
I would have picked
the best game.
I would have picked Kansas City and Buffalo as well as my favorite of the week. And Joe, just based on your comments, I think would you tend to agree with that one?
Yeah. I think they were all wildly entertaining, and it probably was the most one because they hyped it up so much.
Exactly.
The quarterback battle, and they hyped that thing up just so much. But it lived up to it. It really did, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. I would have been fine either way. It would have been nice. Hey, the Bills win, great. If Pat wins, if Pat and Andy win, great.
Yeah.
I would have been fine either way. I picked the Bills, so that would have been, it would have been nice. But it no skin on my business.
I got you.
Because we got a good game. It wasn't a bad game. We got a really good game. We got 4 beautiful games.
Yeah.
And like Chris said, it all landed where it should land.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. The hottest teams playing, the teams that high quality matchups is really what it's all about. And to your point, Joe, the storyline, basically this is a rubber match. This is a game 7 for those two teams, or those two quarterbacks, as it were. And the storyline of Patrick Mahomes getting a road victory. So that's another one he can tick off the box of just, he's just, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But speaking of the picks, so we're all locked up 7-3, each one of us.
We're all 7-3. Yeah, we're all currently 7-3.
Currently 7-3. We'll. I think just based on the lay of the land, I think we're probably going to stay that way.
I just have a hunch. We will go into. Shout out to Brother Carlos here. I don't think we will go into the Roman numeral game.
Locked up. You don't think so?
Please go ahead and trademark, copyright that phrase ASAP, because I credit it to you because I learned it because of you. We will not go that way locked up. I don't think we will within the next 15, 20 minutes.
Okay. Well, we shall see. As they say in the 5 heartbeats, we shall see.
But before we get into picks, if you allow me a moment, I usually like to air a grievance before we do our picks.
Okay.
And so this week's grievance, I absolutely loathe these wiffle ball football trophies they give the conference winners these days.
Oh, boy.
I loved those nice, solid mahogany, and I don't know if it's gold, pewter, whatever kind of fine, precious metal it was.
Yeah.
That had some heft to it.
Yeah.
It looked like you needed 2 people to just hoist up.
Yeah, and they had like a little gridiron battle. They had
players were on it. Players were playing on it.
Yeah,
it was a hell of a trophy. It was a hell of a trophy.
That was an unnecessary change.
George Hallis wiffle ball and
they need to look at that.
The Lamar Hunt wiffle ball.
They need to look at that.
I don't care if it's sterling silver and 99.998% sterling silver.
They need to look at that again. You know how the NBA just redid all their trophies. Yeah. There's no reason in the world why
bring back that trophy that looks like it has some weight to it.
When did they make that change?
I don't know. Somebody looked it up. I think Bryce looked it up for me once. And Bryce looked it up for me once. I don't know when they made the change, but it was a mistake. It was a clear mistake. I don't even remember there being a trophy. And then all of a sudden, the only time I remember seeing the trophy was in January 96 when Dallas went, and there's a picture of Bob Hayes, because he was the legend of the game, delivering the trophy to the Cowboys, and there's a picture of Bob Hayes, Emmitt Smith, and Michael Irvin holding the trophy up. So that was the first time I recall seeing it. Not to say that, of course, Pittsburgh won that same day, beating Harbaugh. Pittsburgh won that same day, but
they beat the Colts.
Yeah, on a last-second play. Well, he threw it in the end zone, whatever. But I don't know when they went to the wiffle ball thing, and the way they treat it, it's so meaningless. It's so superfluous.
It's like so nice and dainty.
Or a bucket of spit. That's what it seems like.
Who is that? Dance or Garner or Wallace? One of FDR's 4 vice presidents.
Yeah, one of his vice presidents. Yeah. I agree with your grievance. We talk about it yearly. It's part of the design of this week's graphic. It's they are all in.
Yeah.
The league is all in. I mean, they've got the trophy is the design for the
environmentalists will hate me for this, but so be it. Those trees are dead. Just make us 2 great trophies together.
Make trophies great again.
Born to die.
Is that where we're going? Born to die. Yeah. Yes. No, I agree. Yeah.
It's probably one of the worst trophy. Probably the worst trophy in sport.
Yeah.
Like worse than some of these like bowl game trophies. Probably it's probably the worst trophy in sport.
Yeah.
Like truly.
Yeah.
They even upgraded the Golden Globe. The Golden Globe is like a long golden. It's like longer. It's bigger. It's got a little more heft to it. It used to be like a granite thing with a little globe. They upgraded the Golden Globe. Okay, and NBA went out of its way to upgrade things. Created a whole new trophy for a new tournament.
Yeah. I mean,
and it did not take away from the Larry O'Brien trophy either.
Did not.
Yeah.
And they upgraded the Larry O'Brien.
Right.
Yes.
I think that the NFL would do well to kind of look at some of the things the NBA is doing, because NBA is like, I mean, I'm not saying you can look at the ratings and see that they're not nipping at the heels or anything close to it, but
it's 82 games though. It's 82 games. It's a long.
They're doing some things though. They're generating interest in being innovative in some ways. In the NFL, they tend to sometimes rest on their laurels, and that.
Yeah. And if you good brothers don't mind me just adding 1 or 2 more legs to the dead horse real quick. When I saw that mahogany and pewter or gold or whatever fine metal with the I could just hear that nice orchestral NFL Films music just playing as it's presented.
Yeah.
I don't get that same sensation with the wiffle ball football or the wiffle football.
Steve Sable and the John Facenda, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I get you, man. And it's that's gone, man. We're in this. It's the play on the field is what matters.
When the trophy was so beautiful, they would write a poem about
it. Right. Yeah, those days are gone. I agree.
Yeah, there's a Reddit out there about say this is the real George Halas Trophy. The history of the George Halas Trophy. I gotta look that up. The history of the trophy. I'm really curious as to when it changed over. I'm trying to find it real quickly. I don't want to be. Okay, their first George Halas Trophy was first awarded to the winner of the NFC in the 1984-85 playoffs to the San Francisco 49ers.
Wow, that recently?
Yeah.
I mean,
84-85. Was it named that or?
Yeah, it was called the George Halas. It was 84-85. The 84 Niners beat that's the team that beat Marino in the Super Bowl. Beat Marino and the Dolphins, the killer beats.
Well, I guess my question was more so, I should have clarified that. It's kind of like, how the NBA Finals MVP trophy finally got a name after Bill Russell.
Yeah, but I don't think they did anything before that, because it just says the George Halas Trophy was first awarded to the winner, and there was a game wherein they beat the Bears in an odd twist of fate. And then the trophy was redesigned for the 2010-11 playoffs, and it now more closely resembles a smaller version of the Vince Lombardi Trophy. The trophy itself can be bittersweet for a team that fails to go on and win a Super Bowl. In that case, the trophy is simply a reminder the team did not manage to win it all. Exactly. That is.
We can ask the Falcons.
That is. Oh well. I mean, a lot of teams have won the Halas.
Tree for a trophy.
Yeah. A lot of teams have won the Halas. So and only the Halas or the
and
Hunt.
only the Halas.
And the Hunt. I mean, only the Hunt as well. So it's not.
Sure.
That's.
The
somebody's. I didn't even know they did the rings. That was the thing. I didn't realize that they do the rings. That you do a conference championship.
Yeah, the conference championship ring.
Yeah. I didn't realize that was a thing.
Yeah. It wasn't just made up for Ace Ventura.
Well, I didn't even think about it then, but I'm just saying later, seeing other teams, other than that's the team, the 84 Dolphin team. That's the Ace Ventura team.
Yeah.
I was going to say Wersching. Wersching was the actual.
Finkel
Ray
with
Wersching. Yeah, Ray Wersching. Ray Wersching was the.
Ray Wersching was the Niners kicker.
The actual kicker.
He was the Niners kicker.
Yeah, and one of the most prolific scorers in NFL history. Ray Wersching.
Yeah, I used to score a lot of extra points with the Niners on a Tecmo Bowl with Ray Wersching.
I can imagine. Yeah, Ray Wersching. I had Ray Wersching cards, like 3.
Oh yeah, that was guaranteed in the Topps pack.
Yeah, it was coming. Pro set.
All right, so looking at the slate for the weekend, as Joe mentioned, 3 more official games and a flag football game. We got 2 of them on Sunday, starting at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central on CBS. The Kansas City Chiefs got another road game going into M&T Bank Stadium to play the Baltimore Ravens. This was the matchup that, I think a lot of people wanted to see for the AFC Championship going in, and this is the one we got. So, Chris, what are your thoughts on that game? Who you picking?
So, before I fully get into that, last week I told everybody to keep their eye on somebody who played just as much as the 3 of us.
Well, you had nothing to do with that. So
the injury reports, man.
Just looking at the teams. Baltimore played an outstanding game against Houston. I mean, the defense did not give up a touchdown. That was a punt return. So that was not on the defense.
Exactly. Yeah.
FanDuel, DraftKings figure out how to score the defensive scoring when another team scores points on something like that, but that's not on those defenses. But I digress. Kansas City, they underwhelmed us in week 1.
Yes.
And then looking at their best performances, over 30 points, there were 3 out of 17.
Okay.
There's a 41-point score against the Bears in week 4.
Okay.
31-point score against the Chargers in week 7.
Okay.
And another 31-point score against the Raiders in week 12.
Okay.
Baltimore's offense is really, really clicking right now. Since Christmas Day, they scored 23, 33, 56 on everybody's favorite Dolphins, who put 70 on the Broncos. Yeah, they put up a 10 in week 18. I mean, it's almost like the practice squad playing.
Right. Yeah.
Might get anybody hurt. And then 33 on Houston. Andrews is back for the Ravens.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so, will it be a battle of probably the greatest kickers in the league right now, Justin Tucker, Harrison Butker.
Mm-hmm.
Baltimore's best scores have been higher than the Chiefs' best scores. I think Baltimore can play defense when it matters most, and they will. Isaiah Pacheco is out, I think, for Sunday. If he's not out, he's currently hurt. He won't be at 100% either way. If he can play Sunday,
he's listed as questionable. He's listed as questionable. Right now. Yeah.
It's not a perfect ride, but hey, Lamar is coming. Lamar is coming.
Okay.
I have the Ravens.
You got the Ravens.
Hosting the Lamar Hunt Trophy in the middle of the stadium on Sunday.
Okay. Lamar holding up the Lamar Hunt Trophy is what Chris is predicting. All right. Joe, what about you? What are your thoughts?
I'm not going to wax as poetic as the barrister from Huntsville. I think this is a team whose time has come, and they are clicking. Like Chris said, obviously they've been prolific offensively. Mm-hmm. They showed that last week. They've shown that the last 10, 15 weeks. They've dominated teams, and they've really put their foot on the necks of teams, such that when they want to impose their will, I think they can. I think they'll be able to do that. It'll be light rain, which I don't think is going to be affecting either team really that much. But the way that the Baltimore defense is really playing at an elite level, and Chris did mention one of those scores obviously was a kick return, a punt return, and on special teams. So one of those scores last week for the Texans that tied it up, and for a minute we're like, what is this going to happen, right? Yeah. But I think they're just playing at an elite level. That even with the heroics, and I'm sure there will be great heroics from 15 and 87, and if Pacheco plays 10. Without Pacheco, I don't feel the same way about Kansas City. I'm perfectly honest. He is their speedster. He is their kind of their spitfire guy to get things going offensively, because he runs with such a vengeance, and like he's running from everything wrong in his life. He is running, and he gets everybody going. I think 2 road wins in a row, even for that great team, even for these great world champions, because they are a great world championship team. And I say that because the way they have defended their world championship as of late, particularly as of late in these playoffs. I even with that, I don't think it'll be enough for Baltimore. It's their time. Lamar will get the Lamar Hunt before he gets the MVP. That they'll probably name the Brett Favre, unfortunately.
Lord, I hope they don't. But at any rate, right. So we're so far we're all in agreement. I again, I'm gonna try not to wax too poetic. I instead want to take the tack of giving, and this guy probably didn't deserve the flowers because he's going to continue to get flowers throughout his entire career. But I'm really enjoying watching greatness with Pat Mahomes, and I want to talk just a little bit about the level of excellence. 6 straight AFC Championship appearances in 6 seasons played. His rookie year, he didn't play. I think he played like 2 snaps, something like that at the end of the season. So, we've never seen anything like this in terms of a quarterback coming into the league, playing at such a high level, doing such amazing things, and the model of consistency. He's had all sorts of types of teams. He's had teams where he's had weapons like Tyreek Hill, and then he's had this season this year where every receiver seemed to drop every single ball except for Kelsey, who was, showing his age. It's a wonder to behold. And the very fact that they stand any kind of chance at all is by virtue of him and by virtue of Andy Reid, in my opinion. So, I think that he's going to, if Pat Mahomes is playing in a playoff game, it's going to be a fight, but I think that Lamar is undeniable. I think he has a chip on his shoulder. I think, he has something to prove. He is unapologetic about the way that he plays and about, and exceedingly polite and exceedingly professional young man. But the anger's there. You can see it. You can see it in how he plays. And there's that determination. And, the NFL has teams like this where it seems like someone is on a road to destiny. And unless something wow happens, they usually end up doing what they intend to do. I look at like Jerome Bettis that one year with the Steelers. I look at Ray Lewis in his last year with the Ravens, where it just seems like that, and some people here nowadays in this conspiracy-laden world we live in, people are saying it's a script and this, that, and the other. I don't believe in any of that mumbo jumbo, but I do think that sometimes someone rises above, and Lamar is that right now. So I'm picking the Ravens as well. I think that as we've said twice now already, and we'll say for a third time, Lamar will raise the Lamar Hunt Trophy on his way to winning his second MVP. And as I was mentioning to one of my coworkers earlier, it's going to be a conversation about now where he stands in terms of the pantheon of quarterbacks. You have to start talking about Lamar. If he wins a second MVP, makes it to a Super Bowl, potentially wins a Super Bowl, you have to start mentioning Lamar in the conversation for those all-time greats. Not to say the greatest of all time, but one of the all-time greats in the pantheon, game-changing quarterbacks, etc. So I'm excited about it. I think that, this is going to be I don't know. Honestly, I really don't know how close it will be, except to say that if it is, it's going to be on it's going to be some Mahomes magic that gets it that way. If the Chiefs are even competing, it's because of the greatness of Mahomes. I don't see that really happening personally.
We were mentioning earlier about the Chiefs and Belichick, and if Andy Reid retires, I don't know if I don't know if that's a good fit because of all the things the Chiefs do and they bring to the table.
Sure.
I'm really curious as you were saying that, and we were all been giving laudatory remarks about Pat and Andy and the Chiefs and things like that. I just couldn't see him. I couldn't see Belichick being on board with, State Farm. I couldn't see him. No, seriously,
yeah, right.
I cannot see him.
You're right.
Being on board with that. I see him thinking that'd be a distraction.
Yeah. That's the antithesis of do your job, right?
It is doing something else. Because you're doing something else, and if you think about it, I don't remember. I know Brady was doing maybe print ads. But I don't think the sleep stuff came until Tampa.
Yeah,
I don't think. I'd have to look back. I think Bruce Arians let him do that stuff, but I don't remember. I don't recall. And that's the only star they would have had. I mean, Deion Branch did a one Pepsi ad after he was a Super Bowl MVP. He had one Pepsi ad.
I'm trying to remember when the Subway ad started. I thought they started.
Maybe in the twilight. Maybe in the twilight. I'm just talking about.
Yeah.
But
it would have only been Brady.
Yeah, it would only been Brady. There was no. Well, they didn't really have anybody. But Chad didn't have one that season. Randy didn't have one.
Yeah.
They really didn't have another. Julian Edelman didn't. Later, he was doing stuff, but Gronk.
Yeah.
Even that. It's just I don't know culturally. I don't know if that works culturally. I mean, I could be totally off with that. I'm just culturally. They are embracing this Midwest city that people don't know if it's in Kansas or Missouri or where the hell it is.
Overland Talk.
Yeah, they don't know. People don't know where it is, right?
Right?
But they are the center of this universe. We don't even know if Kelsey will be dating Taylor by the first. But you know what I mean? By the first preseason game. By the first preseason game. Right? And I'm not trying. I'm just. We don't know that, or they could be engaged. For all we, I don't know.
Well,
but I'm just saying.
In a moment of transparency, I'll say that that'll be something I'll be kind of happy about, not having to talk about it any longer.
Yeah, man, it's getting old. And it's funny. It's funny or interesting, because I have a grievance that I'll bring up later. But it's funny or interesting because I think the thrush of coverage of her has just it's weird. It's 2024. It's 2023, right? 2023, 2024, the thrush of coverage of her being at games has been deafening. And I would think, have we learned anything from what happened 17 years ago in Dallas? Have we learned anything? Yeah. The thing was, Jessica Simpson had gone to previous games.
Yeah.
Carrie Underwood had gone to previous games dating Tony Romo. She's there. It's whatever. Boom, boom. We didn't have these sites. We didn't have a lot of this stuff that we do now. And that instant stuff is a little different. But, Maryland dated DiMaggio.
Right? This has been time immemorial, as our man Tony Soprano says.
Yes, time immemorial. Exactly. So this isn't new. This isn't new at all. But and this predates that, right? But it's still very, very interesting, the coverage they've gotten because of that. And I don't know if you want to be like, look, man, I'm not trying to be part of this. I'm just curious. I'd be curious about that for him because he's not playing around.
Yeah.
And Tom was married to Giselle. He's married to Giselle.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
And she was at the game.
And Moynihan prior to that.
Yeah, Moynihan. Exactly. Exactly. So it's really interesting. It's really interesting. I'd be curious about how that works out. Or maybe he's at the age like, man, I don't care. I'm trying to get these 15 wins and let's go.
Right.
And if that's what makes y'all play better, let's go.
And just nerd out real quick. I don't think I've had the nerd moment tonight yet. While I'm deeply saddened that for the first time in 24 years, that they will actually put the name of the New England head coach in Madden. I look forward to the Kansas City Chiefs coach just being listed as KC coach.
Right.
You are sold on this. You are not deterred. I am not deterred.
Yeah.
You are not deterred by this at all, apparently.
I think Andy Reid, once all the snot and everything else froze on his mustache, he's done. Ring or bust. He's done this year. He has nothing else to prove.
Put a bet on it. Go to put some money on it. It sounds like you strongly believe in it.
So let me ask you this, Chris. They lose Sunday, 6:00. When do we hear something from Andy? Since you believe this,
I'm a little torn. I don't know if he's that much of an institutionalist, is to where he would wait until after the Super Bowl, or if he would do it by Tuesday.
There's a mad scramble for assistance.
Games with the S.
Yeah, there's a mad scramble for assistance though. So you can't. I mean,
if you're doing your team a solid, you're gonna go ahead.
You're leaving.
Yeah. Are we gonna get a Musburger and Bill Walsh situation where he goes into the locker room,
he starts crying?
I watch it every year. That's one of my favorite clips. I really,
there's nothing as cool as his sweaters, as the cream sweaters,
the cream sweaters,
the cream Niner sweaters. That was
like what Chris has on now.
much like it, but it was V-neck with those coaches shirts. It was coaches shirts, coaches shirts that coaches shirts, coaches pants with the big collar.
I think Andy would at least say it in Overland Park, Kansas. I think they play on the Kansas side. I can't remember. Send the emails to the permanent host. That be, but no, I think he would announce in what is it? Arrowhead, Gay High. How you say G-High?
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know how you
the field is named. Yeah. He would do it there. I don't think he would make that announcement in Baltimore.
No. I'm saying when would he do? No, I'm okay. He wouldn't do it in the locker room. But the question is like
Tuesday.
Okay, he'd give everybody else their day. You think he'd give everybody else their day?
It would leak on Monday.
Yeah,
he would talk to the team on Monday.
Well, that'll be the instant speculation the whole time going into the NFC title game if they lose that game.
But the formal whole press conference to roll out the gracious ceremony would occur on Tuesday.
Got it. Okay. Just curious.
Okay, and just for the record, since it was brought up, they play. So Arrowhead Stadium is on the Missouri side, and
it is. Okay.
And the headquarters are also, even though it's the University of Kansas Health System training facility, it's still in Kansas City, Missouri. So they're a Missouri team through and through. Although the fans come from all sides. So
it's really wild that Missouri had two teams.
Yeah.
At one point.
Yeah.
For the longest time.
For a long time.
Yeah.
For a long time. Very long time.
For the longest time they had two teams.
That corridor, that I-60 corridor was something,
Yeah. I mean, they weren't next to each other, obviously, but
right. Opposite sides of the state, but they were,
Yeah.
It is, you think about, I was looking at some of the books I have in my restroom back in the back, and Isabella, what's the lady's name? The migration book, the Great Migration book. Oh man, why am I blanking on it? Origins, the new Ava DuVernay.
Oh, Cass. The Cass.
Yeah, Cass. So her first book.
Isabella
Wilkerson. Yes, thank you.
Yes, I interviewed her.
First Pulitzer. Oh, you interviewed her? Really?
I did. For the Morehouse.
Yeah. Oh, you're amazing, man. The first Black female Pulitzer Prize winner, Isabella Wilkerson. Yeah. So just thinking about some of the great cities, and like kids nowadays ask, how the heck did the team end up in Buffalo? Do your history, as Joe has been fond of saying to individuals.
That was 3,000. Actually, yeah, it was 3,000. I said that, but thank you.
Well, I mean, but you
adopted it.
Yes,
thank you.
Yes. All right. So the second game, the Detroit Lions, it's not a Cinderella story. I mean, people were going in predicting them to have some success, but they've had some hard fought wins in the playoffs here. They are going to have to take it to the road and go to Santa Clara, California, and play the 49ers. The 49ers gutted out that win, lucked into the win, however you want to, spin it. They're there. So, Joe, who you like in that game and why?
Well, I thought Detroit played. They played their playoff games have been good. I think they've been strong in both their games. They haven't really done the foot on the neck, really, in either of their games. I think St. Louis, the Rams gave them a little more fight than they were probably expecting.
Yeah.
But I think the Rams definitely fought them hard. I think the Bucs fought them hard as well, but they took their best shot and persevered. And we knew that they were a better team than both the teams that they played.
Yeah.
I don't know that. I think that there's going to be a lot of. I keep saying emotion, and they are a great story this year. They really are a great story. Obviously, they had the Hard Knocks, so we fell in. Well, we really appreciated the way Campbell has approached the game and the team, and it's very Detroit. It's very, very Detroit in its purest form. And the grit and the fact that they work hard for every inch, for every inch and every yard that they gain. They've got some studs over there in Detroit, and Jared Goff, and they have a strong defense. They have a strong defense.
Everything's intentional with you, Joe.
Yes, they have a strong defense as well. But Jared Goff has won the conference championship.
Yeah.
And has led his team to a Super Bowl where they got pretty much. That was probably one of the best Patriot wins in a Super Bowl. If I may say so. But where the wheels,
that was Bill's best coaching job.
That was the wheels fell off, completely. But having said that, he's older, he's better, he's wiser, and he's got probably more weapons now than he did that year in 5 years ago, in 19 for that Super Bowl. So, and a comparable defense. I'm not going to say a better defense because Aaron Donald's on the other side. I can't say that. I'm just saying a comparable defense. They're going up against, obviously, a 49er team who has nothing to do with the last team that won the Super Bowl from the 49ers, which would be 29 years ago.
Yes,
they have nothing to do with that team at all, other than that they wear similar colors and it's similar, and they play. Actually, they don't even play in the same place.
Not even the same ownership.
Not even the same ownership. Nothing other than it's a franchise, right?
Yeah.
And so
back Madonna's there, right?
Yeah, I mean, but
but it's not
Eddie
DeBartolo. It's not DeBartolo.
It's Denise York.
Denise York. It's not DeBartolo, right?
Yes.
So I'm saying all that to say that let's look at these guys these guys right here. Give them the respect to look at what they've done, what these guys have done right here, and what Shanahan has done is created a system wherein average to good men can become better and great in periods and points. He did that with Jimmy Garoppolo, who I don't even know if he's in the league right now. I don't know, and I didn't even look it up. And he's doing that right now with Brock Purdy. And I'm
he got hurt and is off the Raiders, probably out. He's probably out.
Yeah, he'll end up. He might be in Atlanta for all we know. He might be in our quarterback room, but eventually. But I do believe that what they've been able to do. They're the number one seed for a reason. They had a strong season. They had some bumps, obviously, when their key guys were out. And as of right now, Debo is out. Okay. So I think he's a big part of their offense, but Jennings is there and Kittle is there. And as long as you have, and I said this last week, as long as you have Christian McCaffrey and you put the ball in Christian McCaffrey's hand, you always have a chance. He is their MVP. He is their best player. He is who everything should run through every time. And if he's not the MVP of the league, he's definitely the second place person in the league as the MVP. I mean, there's no question, because he is the best player on probably the second best team.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So the best player on the best team is, in my opinion, is Lamar, and he's the best player on the second best team. Okay. The 49ers. Having said that, I do feel that the Detroit defense is going to have something for for the San Francisco offense. And I do feel somehow the San Francisco defense really wasn't as dynamic last week as I expected them to be against Green Bay. And I thought they were going to go out there and, I picked Green Bay for a number of reasons, but I thought Love was going to be able to do his thing. But I thought
mostly he did.
And he did by and large, but I thought their defense was just going to I was looking for Bosa and Warner and the guys on the back end that we don't really know their names. I was really looking for all of them to really show up. And Green Bay pretty much did what they wanted to do throughout.
Yeah.
So if this is a more prolific offense than that one was, then, and they still have Laporta there, if this is a more prolific offense than that one was, I'm saying okay, this might be a little too much for them. I'm going with the Detroit Lions because they are a great story. I'm going with the Detroit Lions because I was born in Lansing, Michigan. I'm going with the Detroit Lions because that's the first football I ever had. I'm going with the Detroit Lions because I think conventional wisdom tells us they're due. I didn't think it would be all this fast.
Yeah.
And I think, interestingly enough, they have enough to keep it going. I don't think it's a flash in the pan like those Titans, like we talked about Vrabel taking them to the title game, the Titans, like the Titans, or like my Mavericks who made it to the Western Conference Finals that one year, and we haven't gotten out of the first round since, right? I didn't even go. I could have mentioned a lot of teams, but I'm just going to say that, right? So
fair.
I don't think it's one or like Jacksonville. Everybody's really hoping they do it, and they don't.
Yeah.
I think he's building something there. Now he's going to lose some people, but I think he's really building something there, and I think it's going to all culminate to their best game, their best win on Sunday. Because after that, Jack,
Chris,
ain't no sunshine.
What are your thoughts, man?
Let me get the trite talking point out of the way.
Okay.
There are 4 teams who have never made it to the, once again, credit to Brother Carlos, Roman numeral game, with the exception of Super Bowl 50, the Arabic numeral game.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jaguars, Texans, the Browns.
Yeah.
Let's talk about, let me do my usual. And, believe out there in Santa Clara, it's supposed to be about upper 60s, lower 70s, no rain.
Yep.
Nearly perfect conditions. Almost like being in a dome. Looking at Detroit, week 1, they shocked the world. They went into Arrowhead, Gay whatever. How do you say all that? And
it's Arrowhead.
Arrowhead Stadium, yes. They beat the defending world champion.
They did.
To probably a lot of people shocked. Looking at San Francisco, some people have talked about the defense, just looking at, their game since Christmas Day, they gave up 33 to Baltimore, 10 to the Commanders, 21 to the Rams, and last week, what was that? I think, 21 to Green Bay. Since Christmas, they have only played 500 football.
Yeah.
And if I recall, they're only 1-2. Well, no, not their 500, but no, 1-2 at home since Christmas. 1-2, that's what it is. Detroit has Sam Laporta back, the tight end. And in addition to being is this a fluke or not? Late in the season, they actually hung with Dallas at AT&T. It was a 1-point loss to Dallas.
Yeah.
Highly controversial.
Highly controversial when the lineman did or did not check in as an eligible receiver.
You're right.
And they probably would have been the 2 seed.
Yeah.
With that win. Mm-hmm. Actually, they would have been the 2 seed with that win.
Yes.
Yeah.
And also, a lot of people thought would be Dallas. That Dallas team, a lot of people thought would be playing in Las Vegas in February. Jahmyr Gibbs is running the ball well. For San Francisco, I think Deebo Samuel is going to be out. BJ Ayuk is going to have to step up. George Kittle, see, finally put up those numbers that, a lot of people for fantasy football, whatever else, look for. But I would have to say that late Sunday night, I believe that the Detroit Lions will hoist the George Halas Trophy and go to their first Roman numeral game. So all about Michigan friends. Go ahead, book your rooms down to Las Vegas because it's going to get more expensive if you wait. Book those rooms now. Y'all are going to 58.
Okay. All right. So this is a tough one. I've been mulling this one over all week. A lot of the points have already been made, but I'll reiterate a couple of them just and pose a different spin slightly. The game on last Saturday against Green Bay, San Francisco by all rights, it was a coin flip. They that last drive was a nice drive. They managed to score to Joe's point, with a run in from McCaffrey. Purdy didn't lose the game, but didn't win the game. And I think I want to be objective in that regard. Purdy has managed to keep this team competitive when they didn't have some of those players. You mentioned the loss to LA at the final game of the season. That was Sam Darnold playing that week. The game against Baltimore was a wash. Baltimore, we've already litigated what Baltimore is. But that week prior, they dismantled their division rival, Arizona Cardinals. So, San Francisco has a formidable team. And it may be, I'm starting to come around on the point of recognizing, to Joe's point, Jimmy Garoppolo, Alex Smith, as it were, I think at some point. Kyle Shanahan and Kyle Shanahan's style offense, there's elements there where a serviceable quarterback can do what they need to do. That said, I look at what they do without Deebo Samuel, and Deebo Samuel really is the key to a lot of how that offense runs, between his motions, the run plays, jet sweeps, all these kind of. I mean, he's a guy that brings so many different dimensions to that offense. And we talk a lot about McCaffrey. I think Deebo really opens up a lot of those running lanes for McCaffrey. I think that if Deebo does not play this game, I don't think San Francisco wins. Now, Deebo practiced today. He had limited performance in the practice, but he's been upgraded from out to questionable, because he was out as of yesterday, but he's now been upgraded to questionable. One has to wonder to what extent he can play. And we've seen it before, where a player comes in and plays injured and takes things off the table and, actually makes things worse for their team. And that's something. And themselves, exactly. That's something that could potentially happen here. Detroit, as you guys mentioned, building something solid. I think at this point, we all know those windows close so quickly, much quicker than what we think. They're likely going to lose, as Joe mentioned, their offense coordinator, Ben Johnson. They're likely going to lose their defense coordinator as well.
I think they both will be those last two spots.
Yep. And so, teams now recognize they have to strike while the iron's hot. And nobody's hotter in the NFC than the Detroit Lions. So it was said before we started making the picks that we were going to go into next week with different records, but I really think we're going to go in with the same records, because I'm going with you guys. And shout outs. We all have Michigan friends. We went to HBCUs and we hey, look, Detroit versus everybody. My man Dave Lewis, brash. He's gonna find a way to Vegas if Detroit makes it to the Super Bowl. Jeff Jones has been waiting his entire life. To your point, Chris, they and the Detroit natives will tell you they've got NFL championships.
They do. They don't know any of those players.
They don't know. Well, you know, some of them
do.
They'll talk about
Bobby Lane. Bobby Lane from Southern Methodist University. Yes.
Jeff's run me through some of the, you know, he's talked about some of the Detroit, the George Plimpton days of, you know, when the Detroit Lions.
Paper
I'm just
line.
saying, line. And
yes.
Alex Karras, you know, of Webster fame.
Yes.
But Detroit has
Lim Barney.
Lim Barney.
Hall of Famer. And Night Train Lane.
Yeah, absolutely. Night Train. And Dick LeBeau. Didn't he play for the
Nah, I think he was an Eagle, I think.
Eagle. Okay.
I think he was an Eagle, yeah.
Either way, I think this is Detroit. Detroit makes it to the Super Bowl. They get that mark off of their record. That is now be down to 3 teams that have not made it to the Roman numeral game. I think Detroit makes it. I think that it's going to be another close game, as all of them are. The Detroit fans are going to be on the edge of their seats, but I think that they find a way to pull it out. I think as these playoffs have gone on, Jahmyr Gibbs, your Alabama guy, has done a great job of really coming into form, and I think that the coaches have also recognized that he's, you know, he was probably underused in that first game. Second game, he, you know, was tearing it up. The other thing I want to point out about that offense is the connection between Jared Goff and Josh Reynolds. That goes all the way back to when they were playing for the Rams. Mm-hmm. And he's his safety blanket as much as Laporta is. Mm-hmm. And, you know, the last guy on that offense that I really want to talk about is Amon-Ra St. Brown. Mm-hmm. You know, comes from a family of athletes. His dad was a world champion bodybuilder. You know, these guys have a lot of pride in that family. Mm-hmm. And, you know, we talked about in the first discussion we had about how he had that chip on his shoulder from not being named to the All-Pro team, or not being named to the Pro Bowl team. Like, he's a guy that his entire career has been kind of using that type of thing as leverage. And that is in keeping with Detroit's ethos and their culture, you know, Detroit versus everybody. And so I'm going to be very happy to see and to predict a Detroit and Baltimore Super Bowl, the blackest Super Bowl we've ever had.
The most small market.
Most small market, absolutely. The NFL is not going to be too happy about it from a number standpoint. From there,
it's going to be black,
and it's all black everything. It's going to be Black History Month.
It's going to be blacker if it were in Dallas. I mean, in Atlanta or Houston.
Yeah,
that was the only way it could be blacker.
Yeah,
in my opinion. Thank gosh, it's not.
But Vegas,
people watch Oakland and Tampa Bay.
Oh yeah.
If people watch Oakland and Tampa Bay, they'll watch this.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, you know, it's going to be watched. But you know, I think that this is the year they're going to strike while the iron's hot, and then they make it to the game. Who knows what happens? You know,
who knows?
But I think we're all in agreement here about the Detroit Football Lions.
Okay,
making it to their very first Roman numeral game. We got to watch. You know, I watch very closely as I'm uploading our feed to make sure that we get all our checks and that they don't deny us for copyright reasons and all those kind of things. So thank you, Joe, for being diligent in saying Roman numeral game. But yeah,
no problem.
I think
can't wait till we do our Olympic preview. Can't say the Olympics.
Oh man. So I'm excited, man. You know, Conference Championship week, actually, as I've aged, has become my favorite week for real football. Yeah. You know, I think in terms of watching, like, you know, and the Super Bowl, we grew up in the era where the Super Bowl was blowout after blowout after blowout, and then finally it became a competitive game, in keeping with what it used to be. So I still think the Conference Championship games have a little bit more in the way for football purists. So, like, you know, this is where, you know, where the rubber hits the road. So I'm excited about that, and also a little sad, like you mentioned, Joe, that it's all coming to an end really soon. But it ain't ending yet. So we'll have at least one more episode with our great friend Chris Lee making picks. I was going to say at least one more, but I was going to say in the interim, I think Joe and I will get back to our usual and talk a little bit about some of the films out there.
Y'all are more than welcome to bring me back for both
Oh, that's in the works.
Games as well as maybe an occasional NASCAR race.
You can in the in the Open Tabs universe, multiverse, you can splinter off on the NASCAR.
Yeah, have that Talladega conversation.
You feel free. You and Faraji can talk NASCAR, or somebody from North Carolina can talk NASCAR all you like.
I had a phase where I was a Ryan Newman fan for a little while, and then I kind of fell off. But
I always say like, okay, this is the season. I'm gonna sit here. I'm gonna follow it. Not I always say there were a couple of years in a row that I look up and we're like 4 races in, and I probably could have caught up, but I just can't sit and watch it.
Yeah.
I have a hard time sitting and watching. As a kid, my dad used to watch it. When I was a kid, my dad used to watch a lot of those races. I remember everybody, Earnhardt, Kyle Petty, well, of course, the King, King Richard, and Richard Petty, not Kyle Petty, see, Richard Petty, and more. But I don't know. I can't sit and watch it. I just can't do it.
I appreciate you. I think it's appropriate to say, the only kings we recognize are Jesus and Martin Luther. So.
Oh yeah. By the way, man, I'd be remiss if we did not just for a moment, just think back fondly on the life of Dexter King, who passed away early this week. So it's Marty and Bernice now. Yeah, our Morehouse brother.
Our Morehouse brother. Although the school has yet to acknowledge his transition. That's a conversation for another time. The school has yet to do it. But he had a congratulations on a life well lived.
Yeah.
Dexter King, and it's obviously a tremendous loss.
Yes.
Obviously a tremendous loss. Absolutely.
Yeah, the politest way to say the universal statement, I think, 2 middle fingers to cancer.
Yes. Forever.
Absolutely.
Always.
Absolutely.
Always, particularly prostate cancer. Fuck that thing.
Yeah.
Always. I was going to say, though, I did have a grievance this week, and I mentioned it in the NFL group. I didn't quite understand. I have a couple of grievances, but I didn't quite understand.
I was excited about this conversation.
How, in a total non sequitur, I think Stephen A. Smith has jumped the shark. I think the shtick is just, it's like, man, you got to figure something else out.
Yeah.
Because you only get this for 18, 20 weeks of the year. Yeah. And they're going to keep shoehorning spoon feeding him the cowboy thing just to get him riled up and do I respect that man too much to call him names, but I'm just going to say, or equate him to certain things, but it's very minstrel-like. And it has been for some time. Shoot, what Irvin does, what Playmaker does is very minstrel-like. What Shannon tends to do can be, when the two of them go back and forth, and I know it's your favorite guy, Chris, so it can be very minstrel-like. But even regardless of that, just from a purely, like, you're a writer, man. Yeah. Just from a journalistic standpoint. And Feinbaum said this today. He said, I remember when you were a writer, and I never thought you would say certain things that you would say now. But I mean, he equated himself to Derek Jeter and Michael Jordan today. He said he is the Derek Jeter and Michael Jordan equivalent in media. That's what he said today. You got to love yourself. You got to love yourself. I write that on a note to my daughter every day.
I love me.
I love me. And he's not even the TO of media. Okay. But the point being, it's like shoehorning Dallas in, and if you see the video, Greenberg's looking like, what are you talking about? Like, what? We just talked about 4 amazing games, and you come in here because of somebody's mom tweeted and brother tweeted. What are you talking? Man, come on, man. Like, do it on your show, Stephen A. Smith show, do your thing, whatever. But it was just, that time, it was just like, huh? It's just being petty to be petty. And it was like, it was weird. Like, I always thought he was like above it in some way, shape, or form. Like, I know he's part of the whole thing, but above that, it's just it's like old.
Yeah. It's like, almost like he's still battling Skip.
Yeah, because Skip is Dallas. I mean, Skip is, he wrote for the Times Herald, he wrote for the Dallas Morning News. He covered the boys. back when he covered the Eagles, and so it's just really really interesting. But that was one. Another one is the new racial element that we have that's very strong about the people who support who are upset about anyone saying anything about Brock Purdy. So there's a strong racial tinge to his defense. And the first thing that's done is he's compared to a black quarterback immediately on social media, among these talking heads. It's very interesting to watch. And you see the signals. Pat McAfee going on talking about he's tired of the slander. He's talking to a specific group of people. He's talking to the people that elected, that voted for the presumptive Republican nominee. This past week,
likely to be indicted before he's able to
exactly. Yeah, prayerfully. But he's speaking to that group of people.
Yeah,
and it's very interesting to me. Now, I think the criticism can be exceptionally strong or high for a second-year quarterback. I do, particularly one who's, he doesn't lose you the game. He doesn't win you the damn game.
Yeah,
which is what you said.
Yeah,
but he doesn't lose the day. No, you didn't say he doesn't win you. He doesn't lose you the daggone game. Right. And as a second-year player who keeps his cool, great. To me, he looks like Lee Harvey Oswald. That's one of the reasons I don't like him. There's nothing he can do about that. That's not his fault. It's not his fault at all. There's nothing he can do about that.
The cut of his jib.
I don't like the cut of his jib. I also I look for greatness.
Yeah. Yeah.
Saying sustained, it's not fair in year two. You just can't say sustained in year two.
We don't know what we don't know yet.
But I look for in that facility,
yeah,
4 men have taken them to the Super Bowl. 4.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
4 men. One of them is so subpar. He's not even like the 500th best quarterback in the history of the league. He's not even in the top 500 quarterbacks in history, like Jimmy Garoppolo. He's not even top 500.
Yeah.
Okay. He's just not. I'm sorry, Chris. I know it's your boy, but he's not in the top 500 of the best quarterbacks in the history of the league. I'm just messing with you, Chris. I know it's your boy, but the other 3,
and I put him above Vince Evans.
Sure, fine, but go ahead, and maybe Rex Grossman. But the other 3, and then we'll start with 16. We go with 8, and then we go with the man that 7 has been.
Yeah,
who led a team and things of that nature. Who 7 was and all that, and everything was cut short. Someone always personally, if Collinsworth gets to say Pat Tillman can go to the Hall of Fame, then God dang it, let me tell you something. In my opinion, Colin Kaepernick belongs in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, because he is in my opinion, he is the best of what we hope to aspire to be in that regard, as a leader, as a player, and a person who stands on conviction about the game, risked it all. So having said all that, and I never said that publicly, but having said all that, we do hold, just like Dak is held to a standard. You're supposed to hold a Niners quarterback to a standard. And I know we've forgotten about it because it's been 30 fucking years. I know we forgot about it, but damn it, no, you hold a Niner quarterback to a certain standard. And that standard is one of, it's Montana. It's young. Okay? And shoot, it's Cap in the modern day. It ain't Garoppolo. It ain't Elvis Gerbach. It ain't Jeff Garcia. It's none of them. And that's not a slight on them, but they're not the standard. So yeah, he's going to get talked about. He's going to get dissected. He's going to get cut up and eaten because daggone it, he's a 49ers quarterback. And for some of us who still remember, because see, the vast majority of us don't. The vast majority of people watching don't remember. They don't know. They don't see it. They did not watch it. And that, to me, is the problem. And then the others know that they haven't seen it, and they feed off it.
Yeah.
If you could talk about Dak and dissect Dak, all that because of the team he plays for, you're going to tell me you can't do that for a 49er quarterback?
Yeah.
Come on, man. Now, I believe he deserves some grace because it's his second freaking year. I believe he deserves some grace in that regard. Yeah. And he doesn't lose you the game.
Sure.
He does not lose you the game.
Sure.
I mean, I think Heck doesn't win you the game.
Now, say that. I think one of the things I want to point out, and I agree with you. I want to just say, I agree with your overarching point. I agree with just about everything you said. One thing I want to point out, and this is not as a point of contention, just to throw it in there in the nuance, is that the expectations were much lower for him coming in than they were for any of the names you mentioned, including
Young.
He came to USFL. Young was no, he still was a number one pick of the Bucks.
Okay, all right, but when is that? When does that wear off? When does that end?
I mean, but I guess the point I'm making though is that, like, I mean, this guy was Mr. Irrelevant. Yeah. He had no expectation, expectation. So, you know, but I'm glad you raised the point though about the seeming infallibility of, you know, and how things have kind of twisted now all of a sudden, where these quarterbacks like Purdy are beyond reproach from the crowd of the McAfees and all these kind of people.
Same with Josh.
Yeah,
I agree. The same with Josh. Like, you can't talk about Allen.
I agree.
He didn't play well. He fought, but he missed a lot of throws. That dropped a lot of balls, but he missed a lot of throws. You can't talk about Josh. Well,
you know, I think it speaks to the fragility and sensitivity of that particular demographic, in that we have withstood slings and arrows that were completely out of left field, completely unfounded. You think about like the standard that Randall Cunningham was left to, or let's make it contemporary.
Another Hall of Famer. Right.
Let's make it contemporary and talk about what's happening with Jalen Hurts right now.
Yeah,
Jalen Hurts was the
not a leader,
the belle of the ball last year, right?
Yeah, the belle of the ball.
Now, all of a sudden, the narrative out of Philadelphia was attempting to be that he was not a leader of men, and his own players have come to his defense. And I'm glad it's a 180 from where Philly harken back to me, to a certain receiver out of Florida that played for Philly. I don't want to say his name, but I feel like, you know, Riley, what was his last name? Riley Cooper, that guy, right? You know, now we had Brent Covey. They tried to quote him. The Philadelphia media tried to quote him as saying that Jalen Hurts was standoffish. And to Brent Covey's immense credit, he came back and said, no, they have misquoted me. This is what I said about Jalen, that he actually was someone who was super approachable, that made me feel comfortable as a rookie and made me feel like a part of the team. You know, the media is out of control. And this is getting back to your point about Stephen A. Smith. It's the media as a whole inserting themselves into the story, making themselves a part of the conversation, you know, making it, they are actors in the play, whereas in the old days, like when Irv Cross and Brent Musburger and Pat O'Brien, all these guys, you know what I mean? Like, we knew who they were because they had a nice little graphic at the opening. But once they started talking football, it was the players.
Yeah.
You know,
it wasn't about them.
It wasn't about them at all.
And it's, yeah. I was gonna say, you're all from towns where you had a sports writer.
Yeah.
There was somebody who was the sports writer of your town.
Yeah.
And in Dallas, there was a guy named Blackie Sherrod. He was a white man. And Blackie Sherrod wore these thick black, like Clark Kent glasses. But Blackie wrote about the Cowboys, the Rangers, later the Mavericks. Blackie wrote about everything. And the interesting thing about Blackie was he had a column, but somehow, in his opinion, he never inserted himself.
Yeah.
In the piece. And it's the antithesis of what you're taught in J school.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Right?
But this is new media. But it's new media now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And your personality is as important as your opinion.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it.
Seemingly, it's as important as important as your opinion. And I know, and they study this, right, Chris? They study who's watching at what time, who's turning away, what are the ratings. When I say that, obviously, when you say Cowboys, that segment is up. You know, you know when Molly says coming back, we're going to talk about cowboy drama.
Molly, time the blacks and lay them out.
Yeah, bro. Just, you know, it's either segment 2 or segment 6, or we come back to segment 8. It's going to be in there in that 2-hour stretch of First Take, no matter what. On Get Up, it's going to be there on Get Up, no matter what. You know, and I think as much as I like Ryan Clark, he definitely puts a lot of his own in there too.
Yeah, he's fallen victim to it.
He's putting a lot of his own in there too. I like Ryan Clark a lot. Yeah, but he's putting a lot of his own in there too, as though we have a history with him. And right. We do not. And we do not.
And we don't care to.
No, we don't know you, man. Yeah. You're like a D-back for Steelers. We were all black. We don't know you guys. We knew Ben. We knew your leader, who I've never heard you say anything disparaging about.
Yeah.
By the way, when we talk about morals and stuff.
Just give me the stats. Give me the scores and the stats. Tell me what I need to know as a fan. And don't tell me, like, don't spin it to make it entertaining, because
that's what, like, on your podcast, do your thing. Go off on your podcast, go off. But there's a lot going on. And I remember when I can't think of the brother's name. Good gosh. What was the guy who was always with the guy who was with Berman? The brother.
Jackson.
TJ. Tom Jackson, if you recall, at some point he just became like an angry old man. And anytime a black player messed up or seemingly messed up, whether in personal life or on the field, Tom Jackson was on their backs, just hammering them. Right, Chris, just hammering them. And they eventually moved him to online, and they eventually just got him up out of there and put Booger McFarland in there with him. You know, or Tom just got a little old, or maybe it's CTE. I don't know, because we haven't seen Tom in a while. You know, but it's like the game just passed him by. I think in a sense, he got preachy. Mm-hmm. He definitely got preachy, and ESPN does not suffer fools for long. Not black, not suffer fools, and I mean that, you know, in a tongue in cheek way. But I'm just saying,
you got one Ralph Wiley, and that's it.
That's it. You know, even the guy who said "cornball brother," what was the guy out of the guy Detroit? They took him off of PTI. They took him off around the horn. Yeah. You know, they don't look. They don't play. So it's really interesting, the back and forth. Also, the Jay Gruden, and we probably talked about it. The Jay Gruden RG3 thing was hilarious to me.
Yeah,
especially when it's now Gibbs was his coach when he blew the knee out though for rookie year. Nobody. Because people don't know any daggone thing. They weren't saying that, or they just can't speak ill of Gibbs. Fine, but Gibbs and was Shanahan? They were the ones. Shanahan. I'm sorry, Shanahan. That was the one that said, "No, you need to go out and play. Keep playing."
Yeah.
Going to this playoff, they knew he wasn't ready. They knew he wasn't. Even if he did play, they weren't going to beat. Eventually weren't going to get there and beat the Patriots.
Yeah.
In the end of the day,
I guarantee that was a send down from Snyder saying.
I'm sure it was.
Yeah.
Run, nigga, run. I'm sure it was.
Yeah.
But still, and then for Jay Gruden, who personally humiliated that man. The way he did that we as people knew what Jay Gruden was doing, showing him, no, you will do what I say.
Yeah.
And now all that we know about them and that family and all that too.
Yeah.
It just falls into a narrative.
Yeah, despicable people.
Yes, it falls into a narrative.
Yeah.
So, you know, it is what it is. But I'm done off my soapbox. We're going to a great weekend of games. Did you have a special shout out, Chris?
You know, for this evening, you know, last week I went global. This week I'm going to go local. I want to give a special shout out to Sip Fine Cigars and Spirits, who have allowed me to graciously use their space this evening.
Shout out to
in addition to general manager and owner, Briscoe. It is his birthday tonight, so happy birthday to him. And again, thank you to the establishment and them for, you know, blocking off the room for me, so I would not have to drive across town, be on time for our show.
Indeed,
yes,
indeed.
That is very cool. That is shout out to him. Happy birthday to him. Yeah. I look forward to coming to Huntsville and sparking one up with you there.
Yeah, I always enjoy a good cigar lounge. So we'll put some in the air for sure. Yeah. Huntsville's a short drive for me from Nashville. So I head on down 65 and take that little spur down into Huntsville and check you out there. I want to give a shout out to my main man Sterling Sanders, my fellow UGA and Falcons fan. He of the Black Widow truck and the big UGA. You can see him coming from a mile away. The loud, brash gentleman from Hazelhurst, Georgia. Sterling Sanders, shout out to you for your 44th birthday. And just in general, making it through this month. The Oscar nominations were out. Won't have time to talk about that today, but hopefully, Joe, we can get back in the booth here and iron some of that out, because I know you've been putting in some work. I've been putting in some work. We've been seeing some films.
Absolutely. I got one tonight after this. Absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate you guys listening to us. As always, we appreciate you, whether you got jokes on us or, whether you have some insight, you have some disgust about our picks. Shout out to Joe with the graphics. A lot of, again, the compliments keep rolling in, man. Those graphics are on point. I can't wait to see what you put together for us for this episode.
It's very similar. Super Bowl will be ethereal. Yeah. But it's very. I've got some smoke coming in and all kind of things. Yeah,
I keep imploring people to follow Joe on social media, man, for a variety of reasons.
It's private.
Okay, well, if they're listening to us though, they might,
true.
Just know that, like, I mean, like I peeped game on the there was a post that Spelman College made about a young lady that won an award, and the design and this, hopefully the person or people that were intended to get that hopefully that message.
I'm just gonna keep doing it.
But I appreciate your passion for what you do. And who you are, man. We're rolling into Black History Month here shortly, and
we are.
Can't wait to get into some of that as well.
Hard charging, man.
Yeah,
man. On our way.
But for all you guys that are listening, we appreciate you guys. Ray Heron and all those long-term Brett, all these people that have been listening for a while. We really do appreciate you guys. And shout
Antoy
out to
Bell,
Reese, Antoy Bell,
Lawrence Vaughn. Shout out to Reese.
Yeah.
Shout out to Cachet.
Yeah.
Shout out to all those people in Atlanta with opinions. As well.
Yeah.
Shout out to them too.
Yeah. But you guys have been listening to us on Apple. You've been listening to us on Spotify. You've been listening to us on Stitcher, Anchor, all these different forms of media. Our YouTube feed. We really do appreciate you guys taking the time out to really care about what we have to say. Even my mama sometimes has been listening. So shout out to Mom Dukes. We really do appreciate you. And we'll be here again, hopefully this time next week. If not next week, then the week after, to talk more on the Open Task Podcast. We'll see you the next time.